Tabletop Stimulator. With your hosts,
Dan
and
Jim.
And me, Herr Sean Spieler. Talking about Rebel Moon.
I'm Jim.
Sean.
I'm Dan.
Brilliant.
Motherfucker.
Well, part of the intro. It's his Michael Jackson impression. Achoo!
Previously on Tabletop Stimulator.
I think I always say brilliant as well.
Yeah, we watched the film.
Watched it.
I'll
Anyway,
be honest.
see you next time.
I'll be honest. I haven't watched it for a while. We talked about it in the last episode, like that we were going to do this, and so whenever it came out, I watched it like a week later, and
so Christmas. You watched it around Christmas time.
Yeah, and we are now recording in Christmas of 2026.
Yeah. It's been a while. COVID 24 happened.
I believe Trump got in.
For a fifth time.
Didn't get in.
Can't believe Trump died as president.
Oh, we don't do politics, do we?
Can't believe Putin's actually an insect overlord.
Can't believe Putin pulled his mask off and it was Trump. Can't believe Trump pulled his mask off, it was Putin.
Can't believe Trump pulled his end off on camera.
Rebel Moon. Rebel. Your film is a mess.
It's not called Rebel Moon. It's called Rebel Moon.
Child of Blood.
Child of Blood.
I thought it was Child of Fire.
Child of Fire.
That's it. The next
Child. Shall I come up with something else? Child of Blood. Child of Fire. Child of Fire. Ice Frost. And just delete as appropriate. Yeah. What's the second one called?
Rebel Moon 2.
Parent of Fire.
Yeah. The defrost.
Yeah. We've got an ointment for that.
So it runs for 2 hours 16 minutes because I wrote some stuff down.
Oh, did you?
Oh, God.
I don't need to because I finished watching it about 8 hours ago.
I remember it mostly.
So I will say some positives about this film. The soundtrack, as in the mix, amazing. Like that shit when it comes in, the house is vibrating, you heard it come over the top, sounding amazing. Really enjoyed that. They've paid a lot of attention to the sound mix and apparently very little to how the plot should work or what the overall.
My positive from it is that he didn't get to make a Star Wars film using this. Because this, in my opinion, is not as good as the sequels.
One of my other notes is it did enough to keep me interested.
It didn't do enough to keep me interested. If I wasn't watching it for this podcast, I would have turned it off.
Okay.
I had to struggle to stay awake. It was so boring.
I did start to nod off at the end. The bit I thought was a bit trite, and I could see it coming, is when she threw him off the platform. It's like, he's not dead.
No.
Because you haven't checked. You lot are all happy. Oh, this would be a beautiful place to die. If you don't want to watch the end part of the film, basically just go and watch the end of Gladiator, because it's just basically them going for a field of wheat. I love the fact that you have that juxtaposition of futuristic space age and wheat. They're still growing crops. They've not put any development or time into like Star Trek Future Goop.
Well, it was that when they were ploughing the field, it was the space horse.
Yes, the space horse.
And the thing goes around her.
Yes.
To do it. And I thought, is she like special in some way? Is that why they're doing it that way? Yeah. But no.
Just the way they do it.
She didn't move that rock far, did she?
No.
She's gonna, when she comes back, she's gonna run into it again.
Also, the lighting in that opening bit was fucking awful.
It's just all CGI lighting, and it's all studio filtered
so
all to fuck.
She looked really badly illuminated, and then you've got all that red cast, but there was no red cast on her when they flipped around. It was white, and it was like, well, this looks like a low budget thing, but the CGI was actually quite good.
It felt like he's just trying to recapture almost like a 300 aesthetic, and it just didn't work. Because, you know, he had like not very good, like when you first see her and you've got like the Saturn like planet in the background, it looked fake.
It looked awful.
It just looked really bad.
I was like, that just looks like a studio with a green screen.
Yeah.
In fact,
it looked like,
exactly
okay, I can probably find that exact image online and just put it in and then put like a dirty filter over it and it will look the same.
Yeah. It was... Some of the CGI there was really good. But one of the things that my partner turned around to me and said, and I didn't really pay it much attention, but it actually broke it for her. Do you know at the beginning when they go to that party and he basically tells everyone to screw each other, and then she comes back and she's in that house with the old fella. She pulls the curtain across, which is see-through, so what's the fucking point of having it? She gets into bed, but when she walks through the door, it's an electric door that slides side to side. And she was like, hang on, they basically live in a hut, they're doing everything manually, but they've got a slidey electric door. She went, no, mate. And so we're like 20 minutes in at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, she found that difficult to reconcile.
I found so much of it difficult. There was just so many things that just didn't work. I didn't like the look of it. I just felt it looked like, and I can forgive this in other films, when you have like someone who, like if I was going to make a film,
Yeah.
and I would have my like home camera, and I would obviously use lots of effects on like Premiere Pro to make it look better, but obviously you would see it's filmed in a very small area with lots of effects to make it look like a bigger area.
Yeah.
There's not actually. There's only a few sets, isn't there?
And that's what it looked like. It looked like it was filmed in a really small area on a really low budget. But it wasn't a low budget. They spent a lot of money on the film. I didn't realise, and I only found out after watching the film that it was a Zack Snyder film. I was like, okay, so when afterwards it was like, okay, so there's actually a big name attached to this. And this was his vision, and he wrote it. And this is why he shouldn't write films. Or films.
But it doesn't really star anyone.
No. It's all, apart from, you've got like the bad guy, Noble or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
He was the bad guy in Deadpool, and he was also in Game of Thrones.
He strikes me.
And they replaced him with a different actor
When I
after a
looked
season.
at him, I was like, oh, they've ordered Cillian Murphy from Wish.
Yeah, budget Cillian Murphy.
Yeah, like Anthony Hopkins.
How much did they cost? They cost so much for him to make it that he ran off after one scene. They didn't use his voice again.
No, he didn't, did they?
No.
And at the end, he's just stood there in a field.
With a spear
With
and antlers.
It's like, what? Yeah, so look, I look at all the actors in it, and I think you're all knockoff versions of the more famous person they couldn't get because they spent all the money on Anthony Hopkins' voice for a couple of bits of dialogue.
So before we go into the plot of the film, can we have a quick fire of which films did Zack Snyder take heavy inspiration from to make this film?
So many.
So Star Wars
is the easy one.
The Cantina, definitely.
Oh god, yeah, that was almost an exact.
And the fact that the main character starts off working on a farm.
Yeah. And then she meets like the smuggler.
It's kind of deserty farm on a desert planet almost. But it's not a desert, but you know.
So that was the thing that kept bugging me was, you know, the main guy in it. Hang on, Michael Huisman, what his name is, Gunnar. The
farmer.
He reminded me.
Was he the bald guy?
No,
he reminded me of the guy from Andor.
Yes, he's like a knockoff. What's his name?
Really,
Pascal.
Yeah,
the guy that's
Pascal Pedro.
Yeah.
Pascal.
No, not him. No, that's the Mandalorian.
Yeah,
that's what I'm getting. That was the vibe I was getting.
No, I was getting
the guy from Andor,
Rogue
Cassian.
One. Yeah,
what's his name?
Cassian Andor.
Yeah, the actor. I can't remember his name. Damn it.
Definitely some like Warhammer or Dune.
Yeah, so the bad guys looked like an Imperial Guard regiment.
They did.
But they were meant to be more like Space Marines, but they clearly couldn't afford the budget.
Yeah.
You know, like the way they're like super soldiers type style.
Starship Troopers. The main guy, bad guy.
It was a commissar sort of style character.
Yeah.
So,
but he had a tie.
I think I put evil space Germans.
Yeah.
Seven Samurai.
Seven Samurai.
Basically, a butt ton of samurai style films. You know, those kind of.
John Carter, which we were talking about just now. With the Indian guy, they go and rescue the prince guy, who makes the flying bird, lion, griffin thing.
Oh yeah, that was very John Carter-esque, wasn't it?
Very. Obviously,
that just seemed absolutely pointless.
And also
the griffin thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that also reminded me of Harry Potter.
The last fight scene in the film was kind of reminded me a bit of like Cloud City from Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah,
like not necessarily what happens in it, but like the atmosphere they were trying to portray. And like it gave you the impression that they were like really high up somewhere, and it turns out they weren't.
No,
which I thought was really lame.
there was just a fog.
Yeah, it was just a really dense fog that covered a 10-foot
so
drop.
might as well go Lost Boys where they're hanging under the bridge. Fog.
I mean, we could probably do this with a lot of other films, but this was. I agree. It just felt like a lot. It felt like the Fast Show, but a serious sci-fi, where it's just like, let's cut to a new scene. Let's cut to a new scene.
The dialogue was atrocious.
It was.
I'm really glad that after all these years, Zack Snyder has perfected tell, don't show with anything that's happening in the film. Just exposition.
If you took some frames or very short clips of some of the views and like people stood with the wind blowing in their hair and stuff like that, visually from that side of things, it's pretty good. But I think the actual it would have been better as just a poster.
But then I feel like with a lot of Zack Snyder's stuff, he's really good at making bits that make a good trailer.
Yeah, it's
But
almost
not-
like,
but not a
this
good film.
bit's cool.
Yeah.
Now look at this.
Here's another cool bit. Here's another little
What else
section.
has he made apart from
Justice League.
Superman.
I haven't seen that.
Is
that the Man of Steel one?
Yeah, Man
But
of
did you do
Steel.
300?
He did 300.
See, 300 wasn't
Watchmen.
as
But
bad.
Sucker Punch.
Watchmen, I was all,
yeah,
okay.
like the overriding.
All right, he's just gradually got worse then as he's aged.
I think the
But
best way I've seen it
the way-
described
Oh, go on.
was that someone said he's perfected mediocre.
All his work is just very superficial. Like he doesn't understand. I know this thing is something he's written, but he's seen a lot of cool scenes in other films, and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to make a film out of that." Did Superman? He didn't understand Superman. He did Watchmen. He didn't understand Watchmen. It kind of feels like is he taking like a big payday home every time? Because he seems to cut a lot of corners when it actually comes to the film. And in this, he can't actually have anyone write a good film.
I think also, like, I mean, that maybe sums it up. Because I was just looking at the details, like the budget and stuff like that. It made $90 million. So they did do a box office release and limited run, so it could.
They did like the Ultramarines trying to get him for the Oscars.
Yeah. And I
But
think
he did film two films back to back. So the other film
What
comes
you're
out later in the
suggesting
year.
is that maybe he put all of his effort into part 2.
No, because what I read, which Dan can obviously check as the Oracle, is that
And
he
Ant-Man?
already has director's cuts of these films.
yes.
So
That's where all the story is.
yeah, he cut all the story out so that he could. And it's like, has he become now the director who films something, makes it way too long, not very good, and then releases it and says, "Well, that one is shit, but I've got a much better edit."
Like-
Why didn't you fucking release the good edit? Why
makes
did you
you
cut
just
out all the
think-
good bits?
Yeah, like get a decent editor in the first time, and this won't be a problem.
But it's like, okay, so let's briefly discuss the actual plot of the film, because obviously we've covered all of the inspirations.
Would you like me to read you the official plot?
Oh, go on.
Go on then, please.
When a peaceful settlement on the edge of a distant moon finds itself threatened by the armies of a tyrannical ruling force, Korra, a mysterious stranger living among the villagers becomes their best hope for survival. Tasked with finding the trained fighters who will unite with her, making an impossible stand against the Motherworld, Korra assembles a small band of warriors, outsiders, insurgents, peasants and orphans of war from different worlds who share a common need for redemption and revenge. As the shadow of an entire realm bears down on the unlikeliest of moons, a battle over the fate of the galaxy is waged, and in the process a new army of heroes is formed.
See, my version of it is...
I want to watch that film. That sounds better.
It does sound better.
Angry ex-employee does social media scam to piss off boss, because it's kind of like that.
you know what?
Everything in it is so bloody minor. It's like, oh yeah, these like half a dozen useless people that most of them die by the end of the film
I
are going to
did-
take down the Empire. No.
Okay.
At no point did I believe that the people she assembled could actually take Khan. It's not like in Star Wars where you're like, you know, there's these like 5 or 6 main characters, but there's a whole army behind them. There's probably a dozen people.
It felt like it should have been a TV series,
It
and
would
then
be-
they should
this
have
would be a-
developed. Each episode should have been developed around a character.
This would be a great TV show. I mean, they proved it with Mandalorian how to do that.
Okay, so it's pretty much like a Seven Samurai, or what was the Western version of that? They did a Western one.
Yeah.
I can't remember what that was called.
8 samurais.
No, I don't think they're called samurai in that one.
No, it's whatever, the cowboys. But anyway, yeah, viewers, please let us know.
Isn't it like Seven Guns? Or, I can't remember. Yeah. Like all the old people are going to be raging at it.
Yeah. Well, they did a remake of it a few years ago with Denzel Washington and Chris Pratt.
I haven't seen that.
I had no interest in seeing another Chris Pratt film.
Isn't it like Seven Deadly something?
The Magnificent Seven.
Magnificent Seven.
That's it. Yeah, there's 7 of them.
Yeah.
And they're cowboys. That's it.
So anyway, if Zack Snyder made a sci-fi version of that, fine. But he didn't. He kind of took some inspiration from that and then kind of went off the rails. Because a big part of that film is they go back to the village and they train up all the people to be able to look after themselves. And it's about, is it better to have our life on the road or better to settle down and have a family and be happy? But they never get back to the town.
Yeah, but that's part 2, surely. Part 2 is the other half of... it's the other 8 hours of them training. There's not going to be a montage with it.
It's just, it just doesn't work. Also, those films, it's always the gang wants the gold or the food or whatever it is they want from the village, and the village has to defend themselves. I'm sure that space fleet could get their food from somewhere else, and then they would just destroy that town from orbit.
Nah, space isn't very big, mate.
Because there must be lots of farms on that planet.
Well, the whole point is they're trying to put across the fact that they're in the Wild West, they're in the outer reaches. The Empire doesn't really have any power there. But when it's got as much power as it does have, surely it just takes what it wants anyway.
I have interest, right?
And why aren't they just throwing it on their own bloody ships?
They've got a big floating spaceship. They've not invented some magical space goop like they have in all the other science fiction films. What the fuck are they going to do with a bunch of just wheat? Because that's all. I want 10,000 bushels of wheat. Cool. We're going to live on basically bread. Basically fucking bread for everyone.
Oh yeah, but they genetically engineered their soldiers so that
it, right?
they need
I want
bread.
10,000
I didn't even think about that.
10,000 bushels of wheat. Great. What the fuck are you going to do with it?
And then they're coming and collect it.
Dreadnought windmill.
Do you know anyone with a cow farm or a pig farm?
Yeah, in part 2, they go somewhere else and get the yeast. This is just basically a really elaborate bread making film. Set in space.
I didn't even think about what's he going to do with just wheat.
That's what I mean. Because you look and you're like, oh cool, you could grow wheat. You'd not thought to diversify any of your other crops, but cool.
You're going to need some protein there, mate.
Yeah, you need to. I mean, they got the big space beast, didn't they?
It's Catan.
It is Catan.
Yeah, it's Catan. So there's wheat, sheep, bricks, wood, and rock.
Yeah.
And they're trying to make a city, so they need wheat.
I
He
don't know.
needs 3 wheat and 2 stone. So he's got to find a stone mine next.
Or maybe
You did get a couple of development cards, unlike the plot.
someone
he's lost his
rolled a
soldiers.
7 and they're the brigands and they've shown up to take the wheat.
So, right, the actual plot is mysterious stranger who's been in a village for a while, who turns out to be an ex-murdering space Nazi,
Yeah.
gets pissed off when the rest of her old friends turn up to demand, like we said, wheat from
Well,
the farm.
first of all, they try and negotiate.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, we're the space empire. You should do what we say because look how much tension there is in the room. And anyway, she then kills a load of them that gets left behind because they're a bunch of rapists.
Yeah, just like at the garrison.
I thought it was interesting that the baddies this time were South African and not English, because normally the baddies are English, right?
Yeah. Well, the main
The
character.
accents were all over the place. in
Fake
this
Darth
film.
Vader was English.
Fake Darth Vader.
Yeah.
So then they go to.
Where
She
Cillian
goes.
Murphy.
The main character then goes to a pub.
They didn't have the montage
town.
of them collecting people like any of these films.
Yeah, but she starts off in a pub where she meets the.
Oh,
Basically.
there's the gay alien who wants to shag him.
Wants to shag the farmer.
Yeah. She takes the farmer guy with her.
Budget Andor.
Yeah. And then they go to.
Then we meet
a load of
like
planets.
Irish Budget Hemsworth.
I think he's meant to be Irish Chris Pratt, isn't he?
And he's like, oh, I know a load of people that can help you. And they go and pick up all these different people that are basically like cliches from everything.
Do you know
You want to find a general, but I know some people.
I know a general that's in prison.
Well-
and I know a Japanese swordmaster, and I know this, and I know that. It's quite racist, really.
Out of interest, was the weird crab slug thing the king that they were looking for?
What?
No, they weren't looking for a king. They were looking for General Titus.
Yeah, which they found, right?
And then I wondered if I fell asleep because all of a sudden that king was there, and I was like, "Who the fuck is this king?"
But there was quite a leap to that.
Oh yeah,
bit.
because then it's like the blood axes. They want to get the general and they want to get the blood axes. That's the two she come out with. And he's like, yep, let's meet this blacksmith who can tame beasts. That's going to be really helpful against your big spaceship in space.
Yeah.
And also he can use a hammer. Brilliant. They've got laser guns, but he can make swords.
Yeah, but it's not even clear what he's making.
Do you know the cantina
it's just
scene?
hammering.
It's very woke, right? You've got the gay alien who wants to purchase the boy. You've then got the drag... you've got the drag queen thing,
Brothel.
prostitutes, and I was just a bit like, well, they're covering all the bases here. This is brilliant. Tick, 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 tick. He must have got
Get it all done in the first half hour, and then you can get on
that's
the
it. Then
story.
literally you can
That's
just go
very,
rip off
very
the
much
rest
how
of
it
them.
felt.
I felt
didn't feel natural.
Well, no, but it didn't feel.
It's another film, Milk.
it-
they put in there as well.
But it wasn't like, oh, we've ticked these boxes, because actually it was quite insulting. To
No, but their attitude was that they ticked the boxes, where in
Yeah.
actual
But
fact it's
also,
come across in completely the wrong
like
way.
the rest of the film, a lot of it was very surface. There's no character development whatsoever. I learned more from reading the description of the woman who killed the big spider beast, from reading the description of her on IMDb, than I did
And not
from
what
the
you-
whole
the
of the
film.
film. I was like, oh, that makes more sense now. That's why she's angry.
So yeah.
Spoiler wise, Budget Pratt betrays them.
Basically, a bounty hunter that, and these are all the most valuable people in the galaxy or in the Outer Rim or whatever. And he's basically using her help me story to gather all these people up so he can sell them to the Empire.
And then the climax of the film is then not even back at the village.
Whoa! We're missing one important part.
What's the important part?
When he betrays them, they all get free from their prisons, and then one of the guys, who's the big warrior guy, the brother of the sister.
No. Before
Can we
that,
not say what
well,
happens?
just quickly before that bit.
It's so shit. I need to
before
tell
that
everyone.
bit, you can tell them how they get free. To me, was just taking the biscuit.
Oh, I didn't really understand that.
They're locked in these cages,
Yeah.
and they have a thing to like a spike that shoots out to paradise on
It
like
goes
a gun.
into their spine. Doesn't
Yeah,
it?
a little bit like what they'd use at like an abattoir or something.
Yeah.
But for some reason, the design of this thing is you can shoot the spike or you can turn it clockwise, and if you do, it unlocks it. So they give it to the
Kill them
budget
or free
Andor, and they say, we want you to paradise her for some reason. And then he just turns it clockwise and then lets her go.
Yeah. So this hero character guy, he's like, there's a spaceship that turns up out of nowhere, which is like a really weird fake Slave One, and it's got two gun turrets on its little arms that stick out the side of it, and they're like, they can change the angle of them and stuff, so they like rotate or whatever. So they're using one of those to shoot the area that everyone's in, because for some reason they've parked it right next to it, so they can't get angle with both. Because obviously the guns can't overlap if it's right in front of his nose, and so they're shooting the place up with one of them, and then this guy who's like the leader. He's the leader of a band of rebels, but he left almost all of his rebels and just brought 2 or 3 of them who all die with him.
He just brought some cannon fodder.
Yeah, some cannon fodder. He runs up a stick, leaps through the air, and with a spiky bit of metal, manages to impale the gunner through glass.
Doesn't.
Actually, no, I really liked that the first time he missed.
Yeah,
so he
I
misses.
thought, that was good. He just gets killed.
Yeah,
But
And then-
okay, so he
gets a
jumps up
do-over.
there to do that. He fucks around for a bit, and then he eventually manages to do what he does. Right. So, what sort of glass
He
that
gets a
travels in
laser.
space can you break through with a small piece of metal like
this is
that,
what I
with the
thought.
strength of a man? Like the stuff that they build to go into space is designed to try and resist things that are traveling at like 1,000,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
You know.
Like the tiniest grain of sand, that
A particle in space could rip a hole in a spaceship. So, how would you design a spaceship not to be able to take a man with a pokey bit of metal?
He had a power spear.
It was not. It was just a fucking
But
stick.
I think the bit
And
I
then-
liked about that is when he's trying to stab at the guy in the seat, the gunner.
Yeah.
Who clearly is some middle-aged, mid-level guy.
I've got a wife and kids.
He's got a wife and kids. Like, his like, picture of his kid was like stuck to
The spear went through it.
yeah. And he gets shot through the chest, and there's a fucking gaping hole that you can see through, still glowing. Earlier on in the film, that happens to someone else, and they literally fucking fall down dead, as you would if you have a laser.
I want to come back to the weapon
there's a
side of
shot.
things, all right? But yeah, anyway,
So
what?
Right, so then he eventually kills this gunner guy and then falls off or something. I don't know what happens to him next. And
Oh no,
somehow
he pulls the steering
forward,
thing.
yeah, he makes the steering go down.
he messes around with the gunner's equipment, like his sticks and stuff, which turn out pilot the whole ship.
That was what stood out
Right?
to me.
So it's like, so does the other gunner? Could the other gunner not just take over the control? Like, you know, or maybe are there not any
what
flight crew on the ship?
is that gunner, his control propels the bottom of the ship, and the other gunner does the top of the ship, and that's why it kind of just turned on
Oh,
its
they have to
side.
work in unison
Yeah.
whilst they're shooting.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's why they park so close, because it's really hard to fly this
It is
fucking
really
thing.
difficult. Initially, I thought it was the dreadnought ship, and I thought, have they got one guy behind a piece of glass and that steers the whole thing?
Yeah. A very thin piece of glass.
Yeah, but no, fortunately, it wasn't the dreadnought ship. That's good.
Intergalactic space glass made from wheat. Which
Oh, the bad
changes
guy.
shapes, by
Oh,
the
that's
way.
right. The reason why I thought there was loads more height to this, right, is because they leap off this harbour, but like a space harbour, so you know it's up in the clouds sort of thing. She leaps off of it and lands on this thing lower down, and to fight the bad guy. Or the two of them are fighting on. It's like a buoy or something like that.
Yeah, it's
you
a
know,
magic space buoy,
it's like it's floating, but it's like below them, and it's quite a bit below them in the way that it's shown. I don't know if she swings off a crane or something to get to it. Whatever she bloody does, I can't remember. But then they have this fight on it, and then eventually they're like messing around for ages, and then eventually she like kicks him off. Because somehow she finds the power within her or something, whatever bullshit space.
She
Jedi
breaks
bullshit.
both. She breaks both his arms and dislocates him.
Yeah.
Stabs him.
She
in the
breaks
leg.
that staff.
She snaps it, sticks it into his leg, and then he laughs at her because obviously you'd be fucking full of the giggles.
Oh, this is so funny.
Brilliant! I've got no arms.
Yes, this is where I keep my laughing potion.
And I've got a hole in my leg. And you're looking at it, and I was like, she's gonna throw him off. Go on, cut his hand off. You might as well go the whole fucking way.
And he goes, "I am your father."
But instead
Yeah.
of hand, they do teeth.
The teeth, yeah.
But then when you see him on the ground, he's
yeah,
still
so-
got his teeth.
Yeah.
So she kicks him off, but when she kicked him off, he must have fallen about a foot. Because then
There was a paddling point at the
later on,
bottom.
when his buddies come to find him, the smoke clears and he is literally like 20 foot below them.
What I love is then they take him back to the spaceship, right? And they do the Matrix bit where they put him in the giant bubble, and it's like, oh, we're going to send your consciousness off to somewhere. And they're like, oh, we don't care if he dies, blah, 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 blah. They want to see him. And then he sends him back. And there's those weird, fucked up dolphins underneath the ice. Keeps banging the ice. Not entirely sure why he keeps doing that. It's just stupid. Falls through, gets sent back, and they're like, oh, has he got brain activity and heartbeat? They're like, no. Give him everything we've got.
They don't even build up to it.
So they've
just
even,
straight to max.
they've even ripped off Casualty at this point.
Yeah, but at least.
Just get the paddles.
Actually, I didn't understand why, before they plug all those cables in, very matrixy sort of thing, why is it they kind of just peel back the back of his head and he has a big... I thought he was going to be a robot. It was like they peeled off his skin and he had like a metal skull with a socket on it.
Sex with the weird octopus thing.
Oh, the fucking octopus thing was
What was
weird.
that about?
That was so
yeah.
weird.
I forgot all about that.
Weird as fuck.
Well, because once he just...
Give me 10 minutes and I'll
Yeah.
come talk to the boys.
Yeah. Just come in whilst I'm having a wank, mate. You have to watch me finish, though.
Yeah, but it wasn't
Cream
but it
of
wasn't,
wheat.
It was like it wasn't like, oh, this guy's coming while I'm doing something. He was like, why are you here talking to me? I'm going to start having a wank.
I can't get off if you're not watching.
So one bit that stood out to me: the samurai lightsaber woman, but not lightsabers.
Yes.
She killed the spider.
The big spider
I
from
know if you're listening
StarCraft.
to this, it makes no sense. You have to watch
StarCraft.
it because it is just a clusterfuck.
She's the Zerg, isn't she? From
Yeah, she
StarCraft.
kills the Zerg from StarCraft.
Yeah.
And she's like, there's no honor in this. This is what vengeance brings you.
Yeah.
And then with the general, she's like, you should come and fight. Get vengeance for your fallen soldiers. And it's
Yeah.
like, wait a minute. That was
literally said
5
this.
minutes ago.
No one knows. And then you find out that her children are dead, and that's why she was off fighting the big spider woman.
I don't think they actually asked her to join them. It felt like, other than the incest brother,
Yeah.
none of those people would be hard for budget Pratt to capture.
No.
One of them was already a slave.
Yeah.
Just go and buy his contract out.
And he
General was
pissed.
drunk.
Yeah.
The woman with that was fighting the spider, just have that cage thing behind her. She finishes fighting, just throw it on the floor, captured. Got ya. That was easy.
Yeah. Just put a trap down in it.
It was just bollocks.
It was bollocks.
It was such a bad
It was just like And obviously,
There was
all along,
nothing
you're looking
good.
at it, you're going, this guy's a bad egg. Because you're thinking, you've just met him in a bar, you go in all secret, like with your hoods up, going, asking tiny little questions. And then the barman appears to be world championship candle carrier on his shoulders.
He was like a sister of battle. Like,
Do you know
thing,
what? I got
sort of-
those vibes. It was like sister when they were showing the cutscenes of her fighting. I was like, right, Sisters of Battle. We've seen now. We've seen the Space Marines. We've seen the Krieg. Like literally, where we're gonna. And then the closest we got to Nurgle / Jabba the Hutt was the guy. You had the other guy as a slave with his string vest on.
Okay, so other things I really didn't like about the film. If you're going to have, like, obviously it gets interrupted, but what's going to be a rape scene in a film?
Yeah,
Why can you not have blood in your film?
true.
Because she hits 2 people with an axe, there's no blood. She shoots people, sometimes the bullet goes through them. You get that weird, like, lava thing when it hits a limb. Why do the bullets sometimes shoot a hole right through someone,
Yeah.
but they get protection behind a wooden table?
I noticed that the wooden table and like metal slag comes off it, right? And you're
Yeah.
like, oh come on, behave.
And you hear the little the exposition at the beginning. You hear her exposition about the princess.
Yeah.
You see the robot talking about the king, and it's like, but they were the baddies. The king,
So I don't.
the royal family, they were the leader of a campaign that subjugated thousands of worlds.
Her
They
own
killed
family,
so many
her
people.
own family, and she basically gets Stockholm syndrome. Is like, yeah, these lot are alright actually.
Oh well, you know what? He's really, really bad, but the princess, she'll stop it. I mean, she's only a child at this point. Who knows where that goes?
But I mean, did you just not get the vibe that she killed him?
I thought she killed him. When the guy sort of said at the end, oh, you know, this is who you really are, I thought it was going to be she killed them, and not because maybe her dad made her do it.
Yeah.
And then she ran away. She was like, oh, I can't believe I've done this.
Can't live with myself.
But actually, I mean, I guess we'll find out when we watch part 2. But in
I can't
part
really
1,
remember it. She turns out to be the bodyguard, doesn't she?
yeah, so she's the bodyguard, and so
princess,
the big reveal from him from the space Nazi is that
Cillian Murphy,
Budget Cillian Murphy is just confirming, just literally saying what she has already told the audience in exposition.
Yes.
That she was a space Nazi as well.
Yeah.
And that was it. It just, it just didn't work for me. Anything about how this guy was a bad guy that had taken over and assassinated the king, because the king was a dick and the queen was a dick.
They're all dicks.
And I don't really care about the princess because she was a child. And you see plenty of times in stories, they're a nice child, and then as they get older, they become a dick.
Yeah, because their whole family's been murdered. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I thought she was going to be the princess.
Yeah, I
then
did think that.
obviously,
Yeah.
and then it was like, oh, actually, no, she's the really bad bodyguard. She's not even like Kevin Costner bodyguard.
Is the princess dead?
She's supposed to be dead, yeah.
Yeah, allegedly the whole family.
But she probably isn't.
No,
that'll
part
be
two will be-
ironic.
I am the princess.
Which is
And you're like,
ironic.
oh no, it's not possible. And then she'll chop her hand off.
Which is ironic because the princess can bring things back to life. Apparently not her dad, but just little birds, really. That her dog
Oh
goes
yeah, I
off and
forgot
kills.
about that. Yeah.
Also, that girl gave me the fucking creeps. At
Yeah.
no point did I think, oh, she's angelic. I was like,
No,
fuck me, she's
I
going to turn
thought-
around and laser eye you or
I
some
thought what was
shit.
going to happen was she was going to bring the bird
And
back,
eat it.
and then when she looked at the bodyguard and she's smiling, she was going to be like, and just squish it, do like
could
that,
do this to
the
you.
Prestige
Yeah.
or whatever, just kill the bird, and then brings it back again, and then kills it again, and brings it back again, and kills it again.
It pulls its wings off and then brings it back to life.
Yeah, just like fucks about with it.
It didn't work. They were all baddies, and it's just like I feel like, okay, you've killed somebody who was a really bad person, an authoritarian leader, and then you've replaced it with just somebody else
who's worse potentially.
well, but how is he worse?
Well, no, I mean the whole point was the general was a monster.
But the king was a monster.
Yeah, but I know. I'm not. Yeah, but I mean, he's like you've replaced someone who started a war on everybody with the person who fought the war.
He can't write characters.
Do you understand why he wasn't allowed to do a Star Wars film?
This
was his pitch. This was his pitch, wasn't it?
At the beginning, I like it.
He got
when they go-
he made this film because he was really upset that he didn't get the whichever Star Wars film he didn't get.
Like it starts off at the beginning, and it says in a galaxy not far, far, far away,
Yeah.
just to prove that it's not Star Wars.
Well, it's definitely not Star Wars because I mean, even Star Wars has got a plot you can follow.
That's true.
Like, you can moan about the sequels as much as you like, but you kind of know what's going on.
I mean, we all know that Rogue One's the worst one.
Oh.
Trigger warning. Trigger warning.
Not doing it.
So, what did you think about the effectiveness of the armor of the troops?
I feel like I need to find out how much is in a bushel of wheat now. So £60 is a bushel.
I don't know what that is.
So they want 600 pounds of wheat.
They want 10,000, so £60,000, wouldn't it?
I
1,000
think it's
bushels of
60.
wheat is £60,000.
What is it? 2.2.
I thought you said it was 1,000.
per
He
kilo.
asked for 10,000.
Welcome to Tabletop Stimulator. We've now become a maths podcast.
What? How much did you say a bushel was?
A bushel
Imperial
was
metric.
£60.
60. So 60 times 10,000.
So they
anyway,
want just over.
I don't know what's going on anymore.
They want just under 275,000 kilos.
And how many loaves of bread would you make with that?
Go on, find out. What I think is funny.
Is that all they can use it for? Is bread?
But it's wheat, innit? What else do you do with wheat?
I don't know. Weet-Bix. They make Weet-Bix.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, so a quick Google search says for a typical loaf of bread, so you'd be able to make 550,000 loaves, but obviously you'd need water. But then have that girl,
That gave
the
me a
one that
random answer.
the one that they go to assault. It seems her job is just to go and fill that bucket up with water.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because every
Ah,
time
you
see
water
her-
girls.
Why are you
Yes.
still waiting? Because I thought you might want some more water because you had like tiny,
Yeah.
you had tiny little amount.
But that was like 8 hours ago. You've been standing by that well for eight hours.
I love the bit where he goes, well, I look out here and I see you've got wheat planted everywhere. And he goes, yeah, but that shows you how bad the soil is. But yeah, it's still fucking growing everywhere, dickhead. Still growing. Everyone can see it.
So the bad guy showed up and he said, I want to buy this off you and I'll give you 3 times the price. And he's like, oh, we haven't got any. Sorry, we can't spare any.
He offered 3 times the price?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they take it? Because they could go and buy some for the normal price from
Because he's
someone
like,
else.
you can use this money to modernise your
Yeah.
technology. You know,
So
and
actually, evil isn't really the word, is it?
No.
I mean, they're basically an investment company.
he
isn't it?
gets annoyed because he lied to him because Budget Andor says, oh, actually, we do have some spare wheat. And he's like, oh, so you're just being dicks then.
Yeah, we came along
Right.
offering you loads of money,
Yeah.
offering you way better than asking price.
But they show the Imperium landing their transports on the fields. And then when they all come back, they land somewhere else and then ride in.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Oh, they do. They come back to the spaceport.
yeah, and it's like, what? So you just left whatever your ship was that you've left it somewhere else.
Yeah.
You've got to pay parking on that.
Well,
And then or maybe you traded the ship for horses so that you could ride back. Take your ship to your village. I'm sure your village could do with having a ship.
That's crop circles, mate, in it. It would just start a whole load of conspiracy theories.
Actually, for miles they've got the fields.
I love that when they take off.
But they've only got
it's-
20 people to work them. And why did she, at the beginning, run her hand through, pick up and just sniff, which I assume was just horse manure,
Yeah.
right? Space horse manure. She's just like, oh, I love the smell of space horse manure.
Maybe
Which-
maybe it's not from the horses. Maybe it's people.
Actually, she did turn around and she goes,
Watch The Martian.
this is good shit.
Oh dear.
They pitch up and they're in the longhouse and he's like, oh, come on, let's have some ale. I've just lied to you about how much wheat we can grow, blah, 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 blah. And then he turns around and goes, what's your job? And he's like, oh, basically, I'm mid-level management.
Yeah.
I just,
And also the guy you've been talking to,
yeah.
he's lying.
Yeah, he's lying. He's telling bare shit, and I'll show you how to respect people in authority by basically hitting him on the head. And like you said, that there should have been blood at that point.
There should have been blood in so much of the film.
And then,
And I
when
don't
they
mind.
chop the
I can
wife
understand how they cut that out because, you know, that, oh, what the rating? We want to get it in for whatever a lower rating.
It's on Netflix.
But then,
Don't fucking matter.
but then, oh, we're also going to have this where we're going to have a gang rape scene, and it's like, okay, is this just what you like, Zack Snyder? Because he seems to throw some weird power imbalanced sex scenes into a lot of his films. He had it in like Sucker Punch, he had it in 300, he had it in this. I mean, I didn't see it in Justice League, but he definitely had some very forward kissing Superman in Man of Steel, holding down Lois Lane.
not as much wheat in Justice League.
No, that's true.
That's because they're in the city.
But there was some in Man of Steel because he was a farmer.
That is true. Actually, there was.
Yeah.
There was, and they land in it, and all the dust comes up again.
Super Soldier.
And 300. There was wheat in 300.
300.
Wheat's his thing.
It's this thing. We found it. We found it. God damn it.
Oh my god. I can't believe.
What good things can you say about the film, Sean? Dan?
Excellent Atmos soundtrack. Really tested out the surround sound. That's the best I can say about it.
Look, what
Back
good
to
things
Sean,
can
have you got
say?
anything?
Have you got anything? Let me see what you come up with and then I'll
So
copy.
obviously it has been a while since I watched it.
It has renewed my love of wheat.
You want to play Catan now.
Yeah.
I'm hoping the next one's about sheep because I want to get another development card.
There'll be space sheep. They'll have masks on.
Yeah, because we've got the rock in the field, but she needs to find a second rock.
Didn't see.
That's right. She'll soon come across that one again.
Oh yeah.
While she's
on the
sniffing
next line.
shit. Huffing away on horse shit.
I would say good thing. The ships all look quite cool and stuff. Apart from that weird one at the end, like the big ship at the start of the film where it's like floating through space. That was like, oh, this is quite imposing, you know.
Mm.
And then like the ships that everyone else flew around in look good. So whoever designed that, which is clearly not Zack Snyder,
But
did it
that
right.
dreadnought ship, it reminded me of Aliens Colonial Marine ship. It was that sort of very long,
or
blocky.
like Event Horizon-y, or
Yeah.
like any of the.
So what we can say is whoever designed the ships on this,
like sci-fi.
the good thing we can say is they didn't fuck up the design of the ship.
No.
They stuck with just
Did you
tried and
think
tested
that
designs.
The King's Gaze looked very much like.
Oh, that was what it was called. It's a shit name as well.
Yeah,
the
the
King's
King's
Gaze.
Gaze.
Why is the horse pulling her along? Jim will know about medieval agricultural methods.
As
Vaguely,
he still
yes.
employs them today.
So,
How do you think I manage everyone here?
but yeah, I didn't understand what that was. Like, why is a horse pulling her along? I don't get it.
I really don't have much positive to say about it.
I can't think of anything that.
I think you could take very short snippets of it and make it would be quite interesting as like like a YouTube short or something like that. It'd be like, oh, that was cool. Like all those videos they do like Dust and all of that I've not really watched. It was a very much like those mashed together to make a film.
I've
wasn't
been
it?
watching recently a lot of short films, like 15 to 20 minute ones, because I quite like shorts. But
Do they count as a film?
yeah, they're short films.
Okay, I was just asking. You know, is there a piece of shit?
I've been quite getting into them because they're very succinct and the storytelling has to be really good. Because if you've only got 20 minutes to tell a complete story,
It's like, I need a crap.
Maybe.
And then a guy walks to the toilet.
maybe this prick needs to go back to film school, make some shorts again.
He would release a short and it would be rubbish, but he would say, I've got a director's cut that's 3 hours long.
Surely he's made enough money that he doesn't need any more, and no one else is going to fund him, so he could just go.
He's got that Stephen King problem where he can write an epic, but he can't finish.
No, he can't.
He
He can't write an epic.
No, he can't. He writes.
There's nothing
You're right,
he's
there's
written
nothing.
which has been good. The best film he's ever made was 300, which someone else wrote.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
based off a
he's
graphic
just
novel, isn't it?
Yeah. He added a really good visual style to something which was a very superficial story.
Yeah, I actually think 300 is his best piece of work because the rest of it's all crap.
That's the end.
We should talk about some board games next time and some
I
other
think that's a good
gaming.
idea.
But
Yeah,
the
because
next
when's the Game Expo? Is that
June.
end of May?
Oh, I need to book.
beginning of June, yeah.
So yeah, you should probably start talking about that.
We should wrap this up
Really?
because it's almost as long as the fucking
How
film.
long's the?
Yeah, but it's more interesting, and there was a plot.
I'm not very good at rapping.
Okay, you sure?
Yeah, I could try something.
Hit us with a song.
Go on.
Hit us with something.
Something bunker. Yeah, not a flunker. There we go. Dan's turn. Jump in, jump in.
I want to stick my fist in red in you, and then look at your.
No, Dan.
No, Dan. We had something we could actually use.
Can't believe we actually waited for this
Then-
guy.
Danny was going to say something that I would need to edit it out.
Leave that
I-
in, all right? Because we've already got the explicit warning on this podcast.
I don't think we did actually have an explicit warning. We had
No,
a
I
spoiler
think you might
warning.
have. Whatever.
That's a
you-
different
I'm
warning.
afraid you won't have heard whatever Dan's just said.
Yeah, we had to cut that. Beep. Next time we will, we'll have a good chatting about board games and stuff.
So, which would you rather watch again?
Ultramarines,
Yeah, Ultramarine.
The Ultramarines.
absolutely.
It's shorter.
Yeah.
Like half the length.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I'd want to watch Ultramarines like repeatedly, but I could definitely watch it once more.
Maybe that should be our barometer. Like the whole thumbs up, thumbs down thing is. Would we rather watch Space Marine or the movie we've just reviewed?
Would you rather watch Rebel Moon or Prime Nexus?
Prime Nexus.
Just because of the length.
Also, there's more plot.
It's got better
At least
special
it's got
effects.
scenes in between each one to tell you there's a new scene coming.
The only thing in Rebel Moon that is better than Pariah Nexus is the noises their feet make when they walk. They sound like normal people.
That's your measurement for everything.
That's the only good thing
How
about
would
the
you
film.
rate the footsteps in
There's
this
got to be a
film?
film about farming we could watch.
Uh,
You missed that.
every time he tries to talk, it's only weird
Yeah,
background
turn it on
noise.
air, on air off.
Yeah.
There we go.
So we'll see you next time.
Put a
Well, we
motorbike
won't actually.
effect.
You'll hear us next
Yeah.
time you listen to us.
Well, mate, we do see them.
Some of them. Well, no, but there might be someone who listens that we don't see.
We watch them all. If you haven't covered up your camera on your laptop, then or your phone, then we're able to see you.
Naren, get some work done.
Nyron, put that water down. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.